Hi skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here. Well, Bob's back with us for these comparison videos. We're back to men's skis, and due to fairly popular demand, this is the men's twin tip comparison. This was on our list when we started, conceptualizing this year's comparison videos and articles. I wasn't sure we'd get to it. I had a couple of other comparisons prioritized above this one, so to speak, but just judging by comments and communication with customers and you guys, it seemed like people really wanted to see this one, and I personally think this one's very fun. I ski stuff like this pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I think Bob and I both we've got a fair amount of skis in our quiver, all the other skis that we talked about in the 95, 100, 90 comparisons, all that stuff. You'll find skis like that in our quivers too, but we both spend a good amount of time on all mountain twin tips.
I would say 90% for me.
Sure, yeah, and probably 90% for me too. I coach part-time. Bob used to coach freestyle back in the day, so we both kind of have that background. You competed in moguls and aerials for a long time. I competed in slopestyle for a long time, and rail jams and big air competitions and stuff like that. So we both kind of have an affinity or affection for this grouping of skis, which is fun. So we'll start it off with the Armada ARV 96. I think it's pretty impossible to have a comparison about this category and not talk about Armada. Armada was, one of the early adopters of twin tip designs. They definitely helped kind of start that movement way back with the, what was the original ski, the AR5 or AR6,
yeah, something like that.
Anyways, their skis they've come a long way. Their designs are a lot different than those early years, but their company is still really, largely rooted in twin tips. The ARV is designed for all-mountain freestyle use.
Yep.
I think it's a very well-rounded ski among this wall. Some of these skis feel like they really have highlighting characteristics, which we'll talk about. This is one that to me feels very well-rounded.
Yeah.
Just a wood core in this ski. I don't remember exactly what the combination of wood is, but it's fairly dense wood.
Yeah.
It's a solid wood core. So that's pretty much where most of the performance is coming from, and the shape as well. Some tip and tail rocker. It is directional. It is not really
not
symmetrical. That said, there is a centered freestyle line, and this is something that I'll probably do a few times throughout this video. Still getting more weight in the tip on that freestyle recommended line. So it's still, it's a directional ski. And I was kind of doing some comparisons. There's more tip rocker than tail rocker, so something to think about there. If you're really looking for dedicated park use,
Yeah.
you might want something that's a little bit more symmetrical, but it blurs that line between all mountain and park really nicely.
And we talk a lot about, and we hear a lot about mount points and whatnot, and definitely, give a call or write us a message if you have any questions about a specific ski. And I just want to add to this, and a lot of these others we'll talk about the sidewall construction. So this is a 75% sidewall. It ends here, goes to a cap.
Yeah.
So a bunch of these skis have that combination. Some have a full sidewall, some have that combination. Anytime that sidewall ends and the cap begins, you're going to get more quickness and a lighter swing weight. So that happens in the tip as well as the tail here. Most of these skis is pretty easy to tell where that sidewall begins and or ends, if at all.
Yep.
So that's one of the differentiating characteristics that I wanted to point out with most of these skis, is where that sidewall begins, ends, if at all.
Yep.
So when you have that 25% cap, you know that the extremes of the ski are going to be lighter and more maneuverable. So for park skiing, it's going to give you better spin.
Yep. Yeah, and I think this is a ski that you're going to see a fair amount of park skiers on.
Yep.
This is one that I would feel perfectly comfortable. I don't think I would mount it true center, but I'd feel fine mounting it really close to center and skiing it as a park ski.
We've touched on the Ben Chetler 100 from Atomic.
Yeah, this is the first ski that's making it into two comparisons.
2 videos. So
something to be said about that alone.
Yeah, I think on our end that means that it has a good amount of versatility built in. So another simple wood core, but sometimes that's all you need. And for soft snow and powder, we got Atomic's Horizon tips and tails. And this is meant to mirror a boat hull shape and really adds surface area to the tips and tails of skis without adding width.
Yep.
So you get that more directional feeling. This thing's pretty soft, especially in the tip.
Yep.
Tail's a little stiffer. And that, again, lends to that directional shape. So really nice on-trail, off-trail, woods, bumps, stuff like that. We talked about putting a shift binding on this, using it as your all-mountain touring ski.
Yeah, I think among this grouping, it's probably the best for backcountry use.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about touring on a twin tip,
Yeah.
this is a really, really good option. And even just within the past couple of weeks, we've had a lot of people either saying, hey, I'm going to mount a shift on a Ben Chetler 100, or asking, would it be appropriate to mount a shift on a Ben Chetler 100? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, just a really well-rounded ski, especially, not only among this grouping here, but, all the skis we do.
Yep.
So a real solid option, and a lot of different mount points here.
Yeah, that was something that I was fascinated with. Well, I'll do my favorite balance thing again. That's the furthest forward recommended line, which is really quite balanced. I'm sure that's core center. I don't think many people are going to mount the ski right there. We even talked about it in our previous comparison with this ski. This is Chris Chetler's park ski.
Yeah.
I bet he's not even mounting it true center. Factory recommended is there, and then they even go back. There's a -4 line, which is pretty far back. And that's it's like one of the biggest ranges of recommended mount points that I've ever seen, and I think that's just that describes the ski really well right there.
Yeah.
Like it can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Right. I think they want you to play around with it too. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Definitely, but yeah, I think overall just kind of the really good soft snow use.
Yep.
In the Ben Chetler 100, and yeah. Great touring option too, and
definitely.
you could go tour and then go do some tricks in the park on the same ski, which is fairly rare. This is the Fischer Ranger 94 FR. We did a full review of this ski a while back. They basically took the construction and shape of the 102 FR and repackaged it in a narrower ski. This is technically a twin tip, but I would say it has the least pure park influence, and contrary to that, maybe some of the best just all mountain performance.
Yeah.
I think the on trail characteristics of this ski are better than most skis that we're going to talk about here in terms of its edge grip, stability, responsiveness, all that stuff. There's a little bit of metal underfoot, more for binding retention than anything else, but it gives it a nice stable feel underfoot. Carbon nose, like we talk about with Fischer all the time, so really good performance out of the tip, reduces oscillation, really low swing weight. This thing is a blast in the moguls, but you can also just rip carving turns on firm snow. Maybe not quite as powerful or precise or responsive as the 92 Ti that we talked about in the 90 comparison, but not much less than that. It still feels like a Ranger.
No, you feel it mostly in the tail versus the 92 or the
definitely.
99. From forward body forward, it's pretty similar to those other skis. But from midfoot back, it's definitely more playful.
Yep.
And I'd almost say that this is an all-mountain ski with a turned-up tail versus a twin-tip ski with
all-mountain capabilities.
Intentions.
Yes. I don't think there are going to be many people skiing park on this.
Right.
A local skier here, Noah, comes to mind. I know for a fact that he will be. He's around your age, early 40s, and he's the head ski coach of a local freeride program that I coach for as well, Green Mountain Academy. He still skis in the park.
Yep.
But that's the minority
Yeah.
of his skiing.
Yeah.
If he's skiing by himself, he's likely not taking park laps. But on this, he can still demonstrate a switch 540 if he
Right.
needs to, which I've seen him do on that exact ski. So really, really good all-mountain performance.
Yeah.
I think is kind of the main takeaway on the Ranger 94.
Probably the most directional, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of this group.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
still has that.
and they're going back to the mount point conversation. There's only one recommended mount point on this ski. You can't see it on that side. It's on the tech side, but right there, there will be some people that go forward from that line, but there's a limit to how far forward you can go. If you've got a big boot sole length, like that's the last spot where you can put a toe piece.
Yeah, the sidewall thins out pretty quick as you get.
Yeah,
as you get to the
if
front
you've
of
got
the
a
ski.
big boot, you're not center mounting this thing.
Right.
But yeah, great ski.
Yeah. The K2 Poacher here. This thing's been around for a couple of years and is one of those
If
kind
it ain't broke, don't fix
right.
it.
I mean, it's one of those under the radar skis that I love to see, and I wish it would always do better and get more attention, but that might be part of its charm.
Yeah.
This is K2's twin tip offering, a little wider. It's 96 underfoot, so for park competitions and whatnot, it's on the wide side.
Yeah, but you'll still see some people like Colby Stevenson, who I consider one of the best park skiers in the world right now. This is his go-to ski.
Yeah.
You will see this on the podium of slopestyle competitions this year. It isn't really a traditional competition park ski shape or feel, but the K2 athletes like it so much that that's what they choose.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great ski, and we got a guy downstairs in customer service that skis on this as his daily ski. Full sidewall all the way through, so really good edge control. Great stability and quickness. Another defining characteristic is this has got a wood core and it's wrapped in fiberglass.
Yeah, that triaxial fiberglass that K2 is known for.
Yeah, so lots of K2 skis have this feel, where it's very damp. Nice, and I mean, it just has a nice stable feeling to it.
Yeah, it's actually fairly powerful.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And they do it in their Mindbender series too. The tail's pretty flexible. The tip is actually a little bit stiffer.
Yeah.
But tail's nice and playful and ready for whatever you can do to it. But
to me, opposite of this, where this feels like an all-mountain ski with a twin tip, this feels like a twin tip that you could also use as an all-mountain ski. Pretty much true center mount point as an option. 7.5 centimeters back is right there, which is more traditional. There's going to be a ton of people out there that mount this thing true center and ski it as their park ski.
And it's symmetrical looking. It's not symmetrical.
It's actually one of the closest to fully symmetrical on this wall. In the written portion of this article or this comparison, I compare a lot of tip and tail dimensions. There's only a 6 millimeter difference between the width of the tip and tail on this ski. So if you're looking for a very symmetrical, balanced ski, this is one of the best among this group.
So in terms of symmetry, if a ski is perfectly symmetrical, then it's as smooth forward as it is backwards. It's balanced. So when you're spinning either in the air or doing switch skiing, it feels the same forwards or backwards. It's not weighted on one end or the other. So especially for higher end park skiers, you can feel that difference in how the ski is shaped and where the material is.
Definitely. Yeah, some people really value being on a balanced feeling ski.
Right.
I would put myself in that category often. Next up is the Liberty Helix 98. Helix went away for a while and I think was back just because people wanted it back. The Origin 96 is great, which we'll talk about next, but this is a different feeling ski. Slightly different construction. It's very similar, but there's bamboo and poplar in this ski. They add some carbon into the Origin, and the Origin's actually a little lighter. This ski, at first glance, kind of looks like full camber, and it actually feels, when you ski it, it really feels like full camber. There's 85% camber in this ski, 10% tip rocker, and 5% tail rocker. But it's kind of it's throwing it back to the, not that old, but the older days of all mountain twin tips, where we had wider cambered twin tip skis. there are a lot of skiers out there that like that feel. So it's very responsive.
Yep.
It holds an edge really well. It's not like overly stiff, but it actually feels like kind of powerful sometimes just because of the longer effective edge.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. There are different recommended mount points on this ski compared to the Origin, and we'll talk about that too. But centered is pretty centered. I don't know that there'll be a ton of people choosing this as their park ski.
Yeah.
And it's like a little bit counterintuitive to me because I would prefer skiing the Origin 96 as a park ski over this. But there is a center line and a standard line that's 7 centimeters back. But great edge grip.
Yep.
Just a great, like, you get great feedback from the ski when you have this much camber. Almost had a ski avalanche there. But yeah, I think it's a great ski and it's a great complement to the rest of Liberty's skis.
Yeah. And 98 underfoot, I mean, you're getting up there on the wide side of stuff on the wall here. So, soft snow specialist, I would say, for this comparison.
Definitely highly capable in soft snow, and I think the Origin 96 is too.
Yeah. And we've done this ski as well in another comparison video.
Yep.
So again, a nod to the versatility and overall well-roundedness of the ski.
Yep.
One of the defining characteristics of these Liberties is that they're pretty thick in the sidewall.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
interesting.
a full all-around sidewall.
Yep.
So the top sheet basically is laid right on top of the core on the sidewall.
Yeah, although they're light with those lightweight wood core materials, the thickness of the core gives them some solid stability.
And I don't know if it'll show up, but something like the Revolt 95, when you're looking at the sidewall width, the Liberty is thicker for sure. So that's going to give it pretty good stability. Other factors like the build of the ski do make a difference, but that thickness of the sidewall does make for great underfoot grip.
Yeah.
And this is just a nice, even flexing ski. Really good energy coming out of it.
Yeah, I think a slightly different feel than the Helix. Like the Helix stays more glued to the snow.
Yeah.
This thing just loves to be in the air.
Yeah.
Even if it's for just like a split second here and there, it loves like loading up the tail and kind of popping off natural features.
And this is a 19-meter turn radius at a 182. So it's got that nice shape to it for all types of turns.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like it was a Liberty demo ski, so I couldn't like really bang it up and beat it up too much. But I took some park runs on these last winter, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like they just have a really good feel. That same springy, poppy energy translates to a really fun feel in the park. And that mount point, it's really interesting. Like it's surprising to me that they don't put the same range on this ski. There's just one line that says standard, with that core thickness.
Yeah.
You can pretty much go as far forward as you want on this ski. So I think there's a fair amount of people that will be going more to a centered spot, which, like the Helix, feels about 7 centimeters further forward from that standard line. Much more rocker in the tips and tails, more smeary than the Helix. But really, really good ski, and I like that they have those two different options.
Yeah, definitely good, just overall the direction that the company's going.
Yeah, and you'd expect it from Liberty.
Yeah.
Kind of like Armada. Like Liberty makes twin tips.
Right.
Line makes twin tips.
Yep.
They better do a pretty good job of it. We'd expect them to do a good job of it, and they have.
Yeah.
And it shows in their skis. This is the line Chronic. Been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that we say about the Poacher, you can say about this ski. They share a lot of similarities. They have the same parent company even, which, they didn't used to, but they do now. I think they overall have a pretty similar feel. This is a little bit more directional. I keep saying diametrical, which is not a word, but
that's fine.
I like saying it. So 9 millimeter difference between the tips and tails on this ski as opposed to 6.
Yeah.
Not a huge difference, but slightly more directional in this ski. There are only 2 recommended mount points on this ski, and they're only 3 centimeters apart from each other, which, the furthest forward one is true center. So I think that's emphasizing the intended use of this ski. They don't want you to go any further back than just 3 centimeters back from true center, which for a lot of people is really centered.
Yeah.
So definitely another one that feels like a twin tip first.
Yeah.
It has park abilities. It has all the twin tip features and feel that we expect, but it has all mountain capabilities too. So I really like Line's collection of athletes, I guess you could say. They have a lot of people who are like, some of the best park skiers in the world, but they're not necessarily like super competitive park skiers. And I know for a fact that a lot of those people love this ski.
Yeah.
The Will Wessons, the LJ Strinios, LJ's a Vermont guy. They both love skiing this ski as just their general all-mountain ski. Mm-hmm. And I think like anybody else that has a really playful mindset, has a freestyle background, but wants something that they can take around the rest of the mountain in a similar style as the Poacher is going to love the Chronic.
And
it's a staple.
In terms of sidewall, we got another one here where the sidewall ends actually pretty far down on the ski.
Yeah, noticeably softer in the tips and tails too. We were playing around with that before we started filming.
I would say this is the most flexible ski on the wall.
Yeah.
So, for that park influence, you're really looking to get some good playfulness.
Yeah, butters, ollies, nollies.
I mean, even just
kids are crazy these days.
Yeah. I mean, even just like landing, it seems like having that softer ski is helpful.
There's a balance to it for sure. Yeah. Like a super stiff ski, if you're landing switch and your weight's off a little bit, it's like kind of punishing feel.
Right.
Like I have memories of like the ski just being too stiff and it's like throwing your boots right into your shins and it's just like, ugh. So like having a little bit of forgiveness in that tip, but then a more stout feeling underfoot, I'd feel comfortable hitting really big jumps on the Chronic for sure.
Nordica Soul Rider 87. They have the 87 and the 97, same construction, just a 10 millimeter difference in the width. Wood core with carbon stringers, so that carbon gives it a little bit of extra energy.
Yep.
One of the nice things about this ski is that positive camber underfoot.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like, I think companies measure rocker and camber differently.
Oh, certainly.
Because Nordica says this is 50% camber and 25% tip rocker, 25% tail rocker. When you ski them, they feel quite cambered.
Right.
Like the Origin, I think, feels more rockered, but on paper, it's less rockered.
I mean, the height of the camber makes a big difference.
Yes.
So it's not just the percentage tip and tail, but the height of that camber underfoot. So when you do stand on this ski and it flattens out, you do see that camber pop up. I mean, the rocker pop up. But unweighted, it's got a pretty positive bend to it.
Yep.
And combined with Nordica's just general ski construction prowess, that really makes the ski pop and snap out of the turns.
Yeah, a ton of energy.
Yeah.
Really good edge grip, too.
And I would say one of the most turned up tails of this group. Some of these we see are kind of, they're flat and rising, but I would say that the Soul Riders both have pretty equal amounts of turn.
Yeah, so despite that on paper 25% tip and tail rocker, I feel like you actually get a really long effective edge, which is one of the reasons why I like this ski, and one of its highlights is you get that long effective edge.
But it looks the most like a traditional twin tip, I would say.
The bends in the tip and tails especially, it feels like a classic twin tip shape.
But all mountain, it performs just fantastic. It's just a wonderful ski.
And I'd add that it's funny that Bob and I both talk highly of that ski. To me, like, that thing's a killer park ski.
Yeah. If
you're really looking for like pure park performance, or if you're dedicated to terrain park skiing, Soul Rider 87 is a really good choice. It's one of the narrower skis up here. Narrower skis give you a quicker feel if you're doing like multiple switch ups on a rail. It's even like lighter swing weight because it's narrower. So I've gone back and forth through different width skis, and I was like, it was a refreshing change to go back to a ski that narrow, and it reminded me like, oh yeah, this is way easier to do quick tricks on. So,
well, I mean,
really good all mountain, but also really good in the park.
I mean, our 88 millimeter category is the most popular one out there in the industry, so it stands to reason that a 87, even in a twin tip, would follow suit with being popular and appropriate for lots of different ski conditions.
Yep. This is the Soul Rider 97. So, like Bob said, same construction, wood core, carbon, same shape, basically. Yep. Every dimension is just expanded by a centimeter or 10 millimeters. I do think that the feel and the intended use of this ski changes.
Yeah.
So if I was like entering a slopestyle competition tomorrow and somebody said you can either ski a Soul Rider 87 or a Soul Rider 97, I would take the 87 all day. If somebody said, hey, it's snowing 6 inches tonight and we're going to go ski the whole mountain tomorrow and then in the afternoon we're going to take some park laps, I would take this.
Right.
It has its downsides in the park just because it's wider, more mass, slower, or heavier swing weight, so it feels a little slower. It just feels like it requires more skier input, basically. But something that I like about this ski, and I think one of the highlighting characteristics about it among this grouping of skis, is these don't use much early taper at all.
Yeah, they're
so the tip of the Soul Rider 97 is pretty wide. So with a ski like this in your quiver, on those 6-inch powder days, you don't need to go reach for your super rockered 110 underfoot powder skis. Just take this, and it's got plenty of float. It's a little lighter than some of the like wider dedicated powder skis, and just it still has some of the highlights of the 87 too. It still holds an edge really well. It's still like I do think the Soul Riders have a snappier feel on firm snow than some of the skis up here because of that higher camber height and the carbon. So very, very similar to the 87, but for me, either you need the softer or you need the wider width for softer snow, like maybe you live out west and you get softer snow conditions regularly, or you're less dedicated to high level park tricks. Like you just want to go out and like slide rails and like do 540s and stuff, and you're not worried about like cleaning up your switch cork 10 or something like that. But super fun ski. I really like this ski for like natural features too. We even, I've built a couple like backcountry jumps at Stowe and used this or something similar to this a twin tip in this width, and they work really well for that. And
again, just like the 87, that the rounded tip, the more turned up tip and tail is going to be great for forward and backwards.
Yeah, just do some 180s into powder. Why not?
Clean round turns from those Soul Riders, that's for sure. This is the Rossignol Black Ops 98, and these have been around for a couple years now. They're kind of blurring the line between that park ski and that all-mountain ski. Wood core with a metal plate underfoot.
Yeah.
That metal plate goes from here to here, so it's kind of more of a mount plate than a structural plate.
But it's pretty. It definitely adds some strength and vibration damping.
Full sidewall all the way around on that ski, so you can expect, that stability to continue all throughout the turn, throughout the day, throughout conditions. So, the more you're getting with that full sidewall, the more, I would say, directional or all mountain performance you're going to get versus something where the sidewall stops and the cap starts.
Yep.
They use rubber in the tips and the tails, and that really makes it a lot more damp and smooth.
Yeah, it kind of, like, to me that gives it the feel that it's got metal, like full length metal. It doesn't, but that rubber, like, it makes it feel so quiet.
Yeah.
That to me it's like, if you're skiing fast and you're charging and you're aggressive, this is awesome.
Yeah. As opposed to the Soul Riders, I would say that this has a flatter tail. So that's not going to be quite as playful, but it will hold a better edge and is better for all mountains.
And it's like longer, slow rocker too, which gives it a smearier feel.
Yeah.
So this, I really enjoy skiing the Black Ops 98, and I think it's got a really good blend of like stability and power and smeariness. So you can like ski it aggressively and like push the ski into kind of a slashed, like, I don't even know how to describe it really. I guess like a push slash turn. It does that really well.
And its ability to release its tail edge is impressive.
Yeah, I think that's like the combination of edge release and a stable, powerful feel is definitely one of the defining characteristics of this ski.
Yeah.
Definitely, like we said, like it's one of the most powerful skis. I had a blast skiing in the trees too at Stowe. I think it does that really well, and I think that's where that combination of a stable feel and easy edge release comes into play. Just a really, really fun ski. I wouldn't necessarily choose it as my park ski. One recommended mount point on this ski, and it's a little bit back. I'd say true center is about there. I don't think it has it's not quite symmetrical enough. And it's a little heavy to really be used as a pure park ski. It's kind of like what we said about the Soul Rider 97, but maybe even take it to the extreme. Like,
I'd agree.
You can ski park on it, but I think your focus should be something outside of the park. More of an all mountain ski that is a twin tip, kind of like the Ranger. I mean, it's much different than the Ranger in just overall feel and design, but I think it's got more of that feel of being an all mountain ski first, and also a twin tip.
And very playful all around. Real nice feel, very consistent.
So we'll finish it off with a couple Volkls here. Volkl has a lot of different twin tips. Volkl as a company has been, something that I appreciate from Volkl as a company is they've been very supportive of the terrain park community. They make some of the best competition park skis that you'll find. They have some of the best, in terms of World Cup and Olympic level competitions, Volkl consistently has skiers on the podium. So they know what they're doing, making twin tip skis, and they're pretty committed to it overall. This is the Revolt 86. They have Bash Series 2. So this is a directional ski. It's wider in the tip than the tail, but this shape to me still feels like a park ski. Going back to the Black Ops, where that feels like an all-mountain ski first, that's also a twin tip. This feels like a twin tip park ski that you can also use as an all-mountain ski. There's a Revolt 87. So if you are the type of person that watches Olympics and watches World Cup skiing and stuff like that, you're going to see like Oystein Bråten this season on a yellow ski that looks very similar to this. That's the Revolt 87, which is fully symmetrical. It's like 115, 87, 115. So 100% symmetrical. You're going to mount it straight in the center. A symmetrical ski like that, if you don't mount it in the center, it feels weird. Where this ski, that's the recommended mount point, which is pretty centered. I'd feel perfectly comfortable recommending somebody going a little bit further back from that. And I think this is a great ski for, in the written portion I said, a skier who's probably a young skier, who's pretty focused on park skiing. Like, they want to get better in the park, or they do that a fair amount of their time, but they still want to, go take runs with mom and dad. Or maybe they don't want to.
I think you wrote that they were forced to take runs.
They were forced to take runs with mom and dad. So you can still, cruise groomers on this, and it feels more like a traditional all-mountain ski as opposed to a symmetrical park ski, which doesn't quite have the same level of performance as the ski on a groomer. Really good value in Volkl skis, too. I think this comes in at $449. Just a great ski.
Very quick. When
super quick.
You pick it up, it feels like the most twin tip park ski on the wall here.
It's like this and the Soul Rider 87. They really feel like park skis.
In terms of construction, another early cap here. So right where the yellow sidewall ends, from there back to the tail. And again, in the tip, just further back towards the middle of the ski. So that's going to add to the quickness. When you, skiing this thing's pretty impressive. I mean, it makes really quick, snappy turns. It's not too soft, even though the sidewall ends. So Volkl does a really good job retaining that snap and that energy, even in that cap construction. So a little different feel from the Soul Rider 87 in that this is the full sidewall and this is the cap. So if you're looking at a difference between these two in terms of performance, that's one of the things that sticks out to me for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But both extremely quick and light and capable of more than you'd think.
High level park tricks.
Yeah. And then the Revolt 95 is, as opposed to these two, which are built the same, these are built differently.
A little different, yeah.
So 95 underfoot, getting up there in that wider category. Full sidewall all the way around. Wood core with carbon, so you do get that little bit of springiness from that carbon. An interesting thing about this ski is that it's very, very minimal, I would say zero taper in the tips and tails.
Yep.
And you can we didn't really talk about taper a whole lot, but you can see where that widest part of the ski is, like on the line it's farther down.
Yep.
The Nordica's further up, little taper here. But this Revolt 95 is, it is just dead square to the end.
Yeah. Long edge contact.
Long edge contact. Not a huge rise in that tip either. Same with the tail, although it's similar to the tip. It's not quite like that Soul Rider that's really jutting up. But that low rise makes that long effective edge.
Yep.
So that gives you good stability in the turns. And then from park performance, similar again to the Nordica, it's a little wide for that competition ski.
Sure.
But for your all mountain skier that dips into the park, natural feature stuff like that.
Yeah, Amit Dadali was one of the skiers who helped design this ski, or basically did design this ski with the Volkl engineers. He did compete. He never was specifically known for his competition success, but he's a high-level park skier who kind of took his skiing into natural terrain and backcountry skiing, and this is his pro model, so to speak. So I think if you just kind of think about that mentality, like you grew up with that park background, but you want to take it to the rest of the mountain, kind of like the Soul Rider 97. In fact, I think these skis are pretty similar. There are some differences. Like this has a longer effective edge. It's narrower tips and tails than it's narrower throughout, but there's a bigger difference between the tips and tails dimensions than the waist dimensions. So longer effective edge, slightly different feel, but very similar. And just, it blurs that line between all mountain versatility. I think it's got a great feel in soft snow. It's not the same as, like you were just saying, with taper. It doesn't have the super smeary feel, but it's got decent float, and the tips and tails are soft enough that they kind of stay on top of the snow nicely. But definitely really cool just the way that Volkl is offering a bunch of different twin tips, and they're really, if you're in the market for a twin tip and you want a Volkl, you can really hone in on the type of skiing that you specifically want to do. And this thing's $399.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Yeah. It's very impressive, and I think the thing that I'll add about both Volkls, not to say that any of these are not particularly durable skis, but I've seen these things really get put through their paces. I've seen skiers at the end of the season have 20 edge cracks underfoot, but the ski is still staying together. So a testament to Volkl's durability, for sure.
And a quick note on length for a lot of these skis. This is a 181, and it's the longest this ski comes in, which is unfortunate for someone like me who would like to ski it, but it's just a little too short. This comes in a longer length, a 192, 185s in the Nordicas. Liberty's coming to 187. So you're really kind of capped out at that mid to upper 180s for a lot of these. The Ben Chetler comes in a 188. So, for us bigger skiers that want to ski on something like this, there are options, just not across the board. Yeah, and I've probably only ever heard one complaint about the Revolt 95, and that would be that it's not available in a longer length. But what are you going to do? It is what it is. There's lots of other skis to choose from. We don't build them. So that's it. That's our twin tip comparison. I think it was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this is, for me personally, I went into this thinking that it would be the easiest to compare all these skis, and halfway through was nope, this is the hardest. Because I think overall, these are all playful, fun, all-mountain skis. In the grand scheme of things, they all like to do similar stuff.
We're really kind of digging into details,
Right.
differentiating these skis. So let us know if you have any questions or further questions about the differences between them. We might not really have a great answer. It might just kind of be like, hey, they're all fun.
Right. We'll have an answer.
We'll have an answer, yes, but it might not be as significant as what's the difference between a QST92 and a Brahma.
Right.
There's a significant difference there, and these skis all feel like friends,
right?
Basically.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the 2020 twin tip comparison. We're gonna do some powder comparisons, and hopefully we'll get to a front side comparison as well. This will probably take us right up. Comparison videos and articles should take us up until the opening date at Stowe, November 22nd. And then we'll be back on snow testing some new stuff, testing some old stuff that we've never really specifically done a full review on. I know people were hoping we'd do one for this, so you'll probably see a full review of the Chetler 100. And I'm looking forward to that, kind of putting it through its paces in a bunch of different avenues. So we'll see you guys on the slope soon. Let us know if there are any particular powder skis or frontside skis that you want us to review.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you.